What's up, y'all? I'm Alan Hain, the Lawn Care Nut. Thanks for coming back for yet another week. So today is officially the second day of spring. It's Sunday morning. And because of that, I'm sure that a bunch of you are out and ready to start working in your lawn. So today, I'm gonna give you some basic tips on what you should be doing first thing in the spring to get yourself started. But before I do that, because it's Sunday morning, I got a few things to take care of. I need a nap after all those donuts. Anyway, all right, welcome back. By the way, the gloomy skies, and it's like a balmy 62 degrees here in Florida today. We're spoiled here, so when it's cold and gloomy like this, we don't know what to do. But anyway, it's time for me to get back to work. So let's talk about some spring tips. Now, these are gonna be good for all grass types. I always say this, don't let those palm trees back there scare you. All of this information will be good for all grass types. And you gotta figure, you know, I'm down here in Florida, we're year round, so I'm dealing with grass year round. So if you think about it, I kind of get more experience than most people, right? Because I never stop. But anyway, let's talk first about mowing, because that is the single most important thing that you're gonna do this year. And in fact, if you can master your mowing, you will have a beautiful lawn just from that. No kidding. Mowing is half the battle. I also coined a term a couple years ago, the more you mow, the healthier your lawn will grow. And that is exactly true. Think of mowing like working out. Every time you mow, you cause the grass to have to grow. Every time it's cut, it has to grow, so it keeps things flowing, like good cardio, like good workouts. That's what mowing is to your lawn. But before you can mow, the first thing you have to do is sharpen your blade. And that is the #1 thing to do here in the spring, is get your blade sharp. Everybody always asks me where I got this. I'll give you a link to it below on Amazon. You can't get this exact one anymore. They've actually upgraded it, but I'll give you a link to the upgraded one. Pretty handy, actually. Also, Mower is really dirty. I'm gonna give her a wash today too. I've been mowing up a lot of leaves over at the church and it's making it dusty, but anyway, let's get to the blade. Neighbors are pressure washing in the background, another spring chore. Some of you will remember a few years ago, I actually put my blade on backwards after sharpening it and actually admitted it, you know, because I like to be transparent. So what I do now to make sure that I don't do that anymore is I actually mark it. Now they have some iconography right there, see that? That kind of helps you. But I actually just carve an L on here. And what the L tells me is lawn. This end facing the lawn. So when it goes back up on there, that end is facing the lawn. You may want to do something too, because it's not that hard to get busy or distracted and forget. All right, now when it comes to sharpening, I just use my grinder, and this is a metal grinding wheel. You could also use a flap wheel, but I've just always used this metal grinding wheel. I think I've had this one for like 3 or 4 years. And listen, I sharpen my blades once a month or so, and it lasts a long time, so. Now, one other thing, I actually grind my blades to razor sharp as I can get them. And I do that for one simple reason. You never know when you're gonna be out in the lawn and you're gonna be caught in a survival situation and you're gonna need to use your lawnmower blade to shave. Just kidding. No, actually, I've heard people say over the years, the conventional wisdom is you should make these butter knife sharp. But I've never seen a reason to do that. People will tell me, lawn pros will tell me that you make it butter knife sharp because if you hit a rock or something, it's less likely to actually put a large chip in the blade because the metal's so thin when you go razor sharp, but when you go butter knife sharp, it's not as thin. And when I think about it, that's fairly logical, except for the fact that I'm not mowing 20 lawns a day, and I know what's on this lawn. There ain't no rocks in this lawn. I don't allow rocks in this lawn. I have one lawn to take care of, so I'm going razor sharp, baby. That's what I'm doing. So you do what you want to do, but I'm not worried about rocks because there ain't no rocks in this lawn. So I'm gonna take this thing as sharp as I can get it. And that's what I've done here. So as far as mowing goes, if this is your first mow of the year, you could go 1 or even 2 notches lower. It doesn't really matter about your grass type. But if you want some more specific instructions on all the kind of spring cleanup and things like that you should do based on warm or cool season lawns, I'll put links in the description below of 2 videos that I did recently that are just all about that. It's really in-depth on what you should be doing as your first few steps. It includes mowing, but also raking and other things, scalping for certain types of grass. I'll link those below and you can check those out. But for the most part, I'm just gonna be doing a general mow here because, again, we're year-round here, so I've been mowing all along. And the thing you wanna do is you wanna mow twice a week. Remember, I've coined that term, the more you mow, the healthier your lawn will grow. And most people, they mow their lawn weekly. It's like an every Saturday thing, and that's fine. But if you really want your lawn to get really healthy and really thick, then mow it twice a week. We call that weeknight lawn work. Every Wednesday when you get home from work, just look forward to spending that hour, hour and a half mowing, trimming, blowing, getting that lawn in shape, and then do it again every Saturday or Sunday. If you do that, if you schedule it like a workout. It's just something you have to do. If you do that, I promise you, you'll see the biggest gains in your lawn just from mowing twice a week, at least during the growing season. For cool season lawns, that's gonna be in the spring and the fall. That's your major growth push. And then for warm season lawns, it's all during the long summer. Now, it occurs to me that some of you might be thinking, Alan, what do you mean by cool season or warm season lawns? I'm not sure where that's at. And I've kind of learned that over the last few years that there's a lot of folks that are really new to lawn care. Maybe you just bought your house or you just, fired your current company. You want to take it over. You're at home a lot more now because you're working from home and you're seeing the lawn more and you're like, man, I want to get into this. And you really don't even know the difference in warm and cool season lawns. And that's okay, because I've actually created a training just for you, for beginners. So if you wouldn't mind, take the next minute and a half or so and watch this segment of the video that's all about my new program called Yard Care Boot Camp. If you're a DIYer looking to have the dominant lawn in your neighborhood, Yard Care Boot Camp is here for you. 16 modules that will teach you everything you need to know from your grass type and how it grows, lawn measuring, learning your battlefield, mowing, it's half the battle, watering, keep it hydrated, fertilizer basics in 3 parts, applying granular fertilizer without fear of the burn, spraying and praying, and finally, a full lawn plan. What to do for your lawn, step by step, throughout the year. Yard Care Boot Camp, created for DIYers by the lawn care nut, Alan Hain. Click the link to sign up below. Hey, so I hope you enjoyed that, and even if you're somebody that's not a beginner and that course isn't for you, I hope you at least enjoyed the edit. But again, if you're somebody that's really looking to learn how to take over your lawn, I know that that course is going to be really good for you. I will link in the description below. You can check out all the description of it and all the different modules that are in there. It's video and audio training, so you can download the audio, take it in your car with you, and listen on the way to work. All right, so now that you have your mowing down, and that's the most important thing, the next thing you want to do is you want to start working on your soil, because the soil is the basis for success with all of the fertilizing and every other application that you're gonna make. And the way that you improve your soil is through what we call biostimulants. These are the 4 biostimulants that we sell in the very popular Bio-Stimulant Pack. Biostimulants are just like what they sound like. They stimulate life. And in this case, we're talking about life in the soil. You see, it's life in the soil that actually breaks down the fertilizer that you apply. It's not like you apply fertilizer and the grass plants take it in. No, microbes have to break down that fertilizer to make it available to the roots so the grass plant can take them in. And so one thing you can do to improve the life of those microbes, make them happy, make them reproduce more, is to apply biostimulants. The other thing that biostimulants do though, is they make the area around those microbes more pleasant. In other words, they create more space for more water and more air. You have to understand, if they're living in hard compacted soil, that's not very comfortable for them. But if they're living in soil that's aerated well, that's got a lot of carbon around and a lot of things for them to house themselves in and live around, that makes them happier, and it makes them work harder, and it makes them work more efficiently and better. And so that's what all of these things do. Now, for me today, I'm gonna actually put down the Aerate Liquid Aeration. Some of you may remember I started a series on street legal lawn care a couple 2-3 weeks ago, and in there I was talking about some different philosophies that I've adapted over the years that aren't necessarily what you might say by the traditional book, but they're philosophies that I know work because of the way people work. And liquid aeration is one of those. You see, I've always told people to mechanically aerate. That's how I was taught when I worked for True Green. Mechanical aeration, you do it in the fall, relieves compaction, does all these things, right? But what I've realized over the years is, number one, that liquid aeration actually works. And I'm gonna link to a video, I'll put it up here in the eye over there, that John Perry did. He actually had university trials done on this exact product, and he's started his series to release those results. And they're really cool because the results that he found, at least in the first video that he's released, is that water penetrates faster when aerate has been applied. In other words, you know, if water sits on top of the soil too long, it can be evaporated off, but when you've been using the liquid aerate product, it actually penetrates faster. And so that's just the first thing. But again, go watch the video because he's much better explaining it than me. But the other thing is this. I could tell you to go and mechanically aerate till I'm blue in the face, and what I know is that a large percentage of you won't do it. And it's not because you don't want to, it's just that the machine is super heavy, so you have to have somebody help you lift it, and you don't always have that. The other thing is, what are you gonna put it in? If you drive a Honda Civic, you're not gonna get the aerator home, so now you gotta rent a truck, borrow a truck, rent a trailer, all of these things. And then the other thing is, I just know there's a lot of people, they just have a fear of going to a tool rental place. They don't want to talk to the guy behind the counter. They're afraid he's going to talk to them like they're stupid. I get it. There's nothing wrong with you if that's you. That's just reality of people. So what I've realized over the years is that I might be able to preach that you should do mechanical aeration, but I know about a bunch of you won't. And that's why it kind of relates to the street legal lawn care. I actually realized that me preaching for you to do a physical aeration is not going to get done. So I would rather you do the liquid aeration, which does a lot of the same things, and in a lot of cases does better things and works just as well. The other thing is you can do this in the spring, and I don't recommend mechanical aeration in the spring. The reason I don't recommend mechanical aeration in the spring is because it will punch holes through your pre-emergent barrier. I will link up here in the eye to the video I did on pre-emergence, because that's something else you do in the spring. But if you're gonna mechanical aerate, you're gonna disturb that vapor barrier. Whereas this is a liquid. It goes through just like water or rain or anything else. So you could actually use this in the spring, but you cannot or should not mechanically aerate in the spring. Now this is one of those applications that you're gonna wanna water in right away, and even though I have my sprinklers going, I always like to supplement. I don't know if you guys are like me, but I don't know, I just like to do that. But one thing I wanted to talk about with the water penetration, one of the things about aerate that's cool is, yeah, it increases the water penetration, but also it's got 8% humic acid in it. That's why it's called Aerate. And so when that water is penetrating, it's pulling down that humic acid, which essentially is a carbon source. It's pulling carbon into the soil. So that keeps the space. But the thing I wanted to mention is about water and why increasing water penetration is so important. Just think about life. I mean, you have to have water. You can go, what, like 30 days without food, but I don't think you can go more than like 6, 7, or maybe 8 days without water. And you know, the microbes are the same. Life in the soil is the same. When your soil dries out, life in the soil dies. So that's why water penetration is so important. And the thing about the liquid aerate is you could do this any time of year. You're not gonna really be able to rinse an aerator 5 times a year, but you could theoretically spray aerate 4 or 5 times a year if you wanted to. Okay, and so the third and final kind of tip here, or piece of advice, is you want to start fertilizing. Now, the videos that I link below about warm and cool season grass, they're going to talk a lot more about the type of fertilizer to use. But for the most part, what you want to do is, with cool season lawns, you want to start out with higher nitrogen. And that is just because your lawn, its nature or its growth habit is to push more growth in the spring, and you want to accentuate that with more nitrogen, higher nitrogen. Now, I have to hesitate when I say high nitrogen because I only recommend 3/4 pounds per thousand. If you don't know what that is, don't worry about it. But 3/4 pounds of N per thousand isn't really that much, but it's more than I recommend for warm season. So you want to push more nitrogen. That's the first number on the bag of fertilizer. You want to push that in the spring because you really want your lawn to get greener and thicker. I mean, that's really why we're all here, right? Whereas warm season lawns, our growth nature is a slow ramp to summer, and we push more in summer. So when we're here in the spring and things are still a little bit balmy, we want to go higher potassium and a little bit lower nitrogen. But all of it is important, and the reason it's important is because the days are getting longer. We just had a time change, which makes it seem longer to us, but for real, in the real world, the days are getting longer, and that means more sunlight, and that's a trigger to the lawn to grow. So you want to make sure that you give it plenty of nutrients so it can support its photosynthesis. That's what fertilizer does. It supports the process of photosynthesis, essentially. So that's why it's so important to fertilize right now. And again, I know the real reason we fertilize. It's because we want our lawn to be green. We want it to look good. We want our neighbors to come over and go, bro, what are you doing to your lawn, bruh? It looks really good, man. That's what we want, right? We want to dominate our neighbors. So make sure you're fertilizing. I'll give you a couple links below to some great fertilizers that you could choose to use this year. With that, I hope this video has been helpful to you. I hope you get out, enjoy the mow sometime this week. Remember, twice a week, the more you mow, the healthier your lawn will grow. And I'll see you in the lawn.